Okay, welcome back. We are done with the tournament now, and Turnus is off to the park to meet with Aubrey, the Ice Mage, who was his fellow competitor, and probably the, fourth or fifth potential love interest for him that we've had in this game. But I don't know, it never gets too mushy between them or anything. But he does hit on her. He hits on pretty much any female life form, except Nova and some of the that personality type. So they're hanging out here in the East Gallia Park, and he's telling her that he figured out why she was there, that it must have been something by Dasani to try and get that prize money and use to further her own cause, which is quite in line with the rebellion's cause. So with that in mind, Aubrey is a good Potential ally for the rebels. So he's going to try and recruit her, and so now he told her in the ring that he met Lily from Boreal, so he's basically given her a quick roundup of the stuff that they've been doing. And Aubrey initially isn't sure if she can join, because that wasn't what Dasani told her to do. Dasani only told her to compete in the tournament. So you have a bit here where she uses a holy stone, which is a little thing you can find if it's a little rock that's been dunked in holy water, pretty much. And Dasani can communicate with you if you have one of those. So she gets some dialogue here. We haven't really spoken with her in a while. So she's pleased to hear that it was Turnus who walked away from the tournament with all the money. So that's good news for all who don't care for Gallia. And but she also didn't know about Aris's injury, so that's a bit of bad news for her. And he is still, he's still being cared for. He's still injured. He's out for quite a while. There's several more sequences before anything happens with him again, other than him just laying in that bed. And now Dasani's giving out some advice to seek out the dragons. Now, dragons in Celeste are, they don't play much of a role. They're rare. They tend to distance themselves from the world at large, and if you see one, it's considered a very fortunate experience. There was one appearance of them in Master of the Wind that was sort of a bit of symbolism. But in this game, you'll see them later, much later. But for now, we're going back to base, so we can celebrate Turnus' victory. And he walks in there, and once they ask him about the tournament, he throws the bag of money on the table, which I imagine they must have some pretty high bills or something for their currency, because I don't think he's really carrying around 200,000 gold coins in that bag. There must be some that are worth 100 or 1,000 or whatever. But yeah, so the rebellion has got a nice infusion of cash into its coffers, and now Sarnath is going to lay out the next mission, which is an attack on Gallia's shipyard. That's quite ambitious. What happens here is that Sarnath has noticed that there's a lot of fire magic in the group at large. I mean, you've got Galdar, who knows it. You've got Zala, who's a full-on fire elemental. And then you've got Seth, who's a dragoon and just has a natural use of fire magic. So with the three of them, that's, burn a lot of things down. And it'll be our first trip to West Gallia, but it'll be at nightfall. So we won't really get a sense of the community there. We'll have to do that some other time. And he wants to take everyone. Mina's coming along, but and he wants Turnus to come too. But I mean, Turnus is too exhausted. He's going to sit the next one out. And so this is an interesting bit this next mission that they do, it's a lot like the base attack in the sense that there's no random encounters once we get there, and it's just guys in certain spots, and it's also kind of morally challenging, I guess, or it's morally ambiguous. That's the word I was looking for, because you can make an argument that what they're about to do is terrorism, but we'll talk about that more after it happens. So for now, we gotta go back to this tunnel. The tunnel gets a lot of use. And then through West Gallia here. And then we've been advised to use the sewers to sneak into West Gallia rather than just walking into the, walking down the path and going in that way. So we'll head up here. And just as a bit of disclosure, this segment was a little too long at first. So I edited out about a minute and a half where I went to the item shop and bought some weapons and armor for them. I figure that's not, of utmost importance, but they do have new weapons now, and we'll see them in action for too long. Now with these sewers, I'm looking for a switch. I think it might be down there, that region that I can't reach from here. But the sewers are interconnected in all 5 sections of the city. And if you pull levers in how do you say it, like in the different areas of the sewers, it's 4 levers, and I think we pulled one. I think we pulled the East Gallia one, or maybe it was South Gallia earlier, and then you get a cool weapon if you pull them all. But now we've cut over to Lysander here, another sort of domestic scene. And Lysander suspects that something's going to go down. He doesn't know exactly what, but he gave an order to increase security pretty much everywhere. And but for now, he's more concerned with his son. This sort of encounter with Dasani, or the fact that he had to be afraid of Dasani during his journey, made him nervous about telepaths and his own lack of ability to deal with those, to deal with that. So he's going to have, Leonard train with Urva a little bit and just learn the basics of some of that stuff. And obviously, if you play Master of the Wind, that seed's being planted for some major stuff, after this game is over. But, it's another scene that just kind of shows Lysander as his regular guy side. If he wasn't working for such a nasty philosophy, he's the kind of guy you'd want in your community. He does a lot. But now we've got the characters here, and we're back in West Gallia. And West Gallia is kind of a port town. There's there's a lot of sand, and not as developed as the major parts of the city. And Mina's talking about there's these little flames. That's a gimmick for this dungeon. If you step too close to them, they start making this loud ass noise. So you have to avoid them. And now Galdar gets quite a surprise here. Is this guy is somebody we haven't met yet, but he's been important to the backstory. And Thys. And this is the galleon officer who killed grandfather Arius, the original Arius, the Minotaur, back when Galdar was younger. Well, not too much younger. It was after his exile from Karzai, so it really was only like, 5 years ago, maybe a little more. And so Thys, Thys is named after Theseus, the Greek hero who slew the Minotaur. That's what the guy's known for. But in this case, killing Minotaurs is a bad thing because we like them. And so it's a bit of a reversal of that whole idea. And so he's talking about, there's Grandfather Arius' custom face set with different colored eyes and a scar. That's badass. But you figure the guy's old, and he's been growing up in the the Gallian Empire, so he's got to have a few scars on him. And actually, this I had a very economic approach to this sprite. You'll notice during this fight sequence, he doesn't actually move, or he doesn't actually turn around or anything. He fights in the standing position because I only made one sprite for him. I didn't want to really. It seemed like too much time to make a sprite for every direction that he could go, since he's only going to appear in this one scene basically. And then so I made the one sprite of him standing, then I made a sprite of him being knocked down, and then Galdar tries to fight Thies, but he's only he's not very powerful at this point, and so Thies just is acting like a complete bastard here, just telling him that you guys should expect to be like brutally murdered in your own homes. I mean, what that's the way it goes. So suck it up. And he wants that to soak in. He wants Galdar to suffer. And just a tip to any aspiring villains out there: you really probably don't want to do this. You probably want your enemies to just die, and not you give them several years to be pissed off at you and get more powerful. So now Grandfather Arius gives Galdar a very vague prophecy here. To win, you must fight them with what they can't counter. And Galdar doesn't get that at first, but he will. And right now, Seth in particular is very incensed by that story. So incensed, in fact, that he's just he's ready to just start burning the whole city down. And of course, Zala would love that, since she's a complete pyro. But this is why Galdar brought Mina, because Mina calms him down, uses some logic, and just sort of gets them back on the right track here. But without Mina, who the hell knows what they would have done? Alright, what do I do here? Oh, that's right, I gotta walk over here. So Seth flies over, and grabs some wooden planks, and then makes a little bridge for the rest to cross. And then West Gallia's got a lot of these little caves in it. So we'll go down here, and we're going to fight our first batch of soldiers. And, oh man. Yeah, these, like the guy just said, these are some pretty seasoned troops we're going to be up against. This is not just the usual scouts that go down with a few attacks. We're going to have to really open up a can of whoop-ass here. The best strategy is pretty much to use all your most powerful attacks every turn for some of these. But I may have a little bit of advantage in the sense that I'm still high leveled. I think at this point in the game I expect the players to be at level 44 or 45, something like that. And I'm at 50, so it's not a major difference, but it is a difference. And that should help. Okay, we're cutting through these guys pretty easily. But yeah, when in a regular game, when you're at the level that that I expected you to be, this is hard. This is really hard, actually. But thankfully, like I said before, there's no random encounters, so you just do what you gotta do, and you have time to heal yourself in between. Let me go down. Oops, I forgot about that. So now I gotta fight a necromancer. If you remember from the lore, Gallia and the necromancers have a bit of a deal. They have the Treaty of Thanatos, where they work together for their mutual interests, even though technically Gallia should be against the undead, because they weren't created by Arcadius. It's a whole from Perdicia's teachings that necromancy is said to have originated. But it's just with a bit of politics. And usually you don't see them in the city proper, though. Usually necromancers are meant to police sort of these outlying areas, like Harrow. But it's like Lysander or somebody else made the decision to bring them back into the fold. Probably not Lysander, actually, because he's more of a purist. He's probably pissed that they even have undead on the payroll. But whatever the case, you have to fight a lot of undead guys here. And they're usually, because they're undead are decently vulnerable to fire magic. I think I rationalized it by saying that they're dry, like dry bones from the Mario games. So they should be a little vulnerable to fire. So we beat those guys. I got a lot of nice items from that, and a 10, just what I needed. So we'll save here, and then we'll finish our raid next time. Peace.